From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
Hi, Sarah Clarke.
I read that. Is it Reza?
Yeah. It's Reza. You could just call me Keith, though.
Keith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keith is way more cuter.
Well, whatever you say. I think
Oh,
Reza is a nice name too, though, but I'll call you Keith.
yeah. Well, do people call people by their last names? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I was called by my middle name sometimes in high school.
oh, were you really?
Yeah,
Was that like, did you know your middle name? Like, was it
I did
awkward? Oh,
lightly. So that's why. That's
yeah.
why.
Maybe.
I'm just going to close these doors real quick. I've got some children leaving.
Oh, cool.
All right. So you got her going, okay, baby? Okay. Thank you. Yes, we've got driver's ed. Got lots going on here, Keith.
Oh my God.
Lots
Driver's
going on.
ed. I feel driver's ed is a thing that's gonna disappear with all these like automatic cars,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like because I remember when I went to driver's ed, it was so stressful because
Oh,
like
yeah.
when you're driving, you're scared, and then you have
Right.
to take the written test, you
Yep.
know? It makes me think, why couldn't I be born in 50 years where I just have a computer do this for me?
Well, exactly. Though I don't know. It's funny. You see these horror movies about the computer cars being programmed to just like go and crash. You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
no way to control it. Or did you ever see Wall-E?
Yeah, I loved
So that
Wally.
whole thing of them like drinking their little smoothie and just like not thinking about anything. I
Yeah.
feel like that's where we're headed.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Terrifying. But yes, it's my second child going through driver's ed. The older child is taking her to driver's ed, so we've come full circle.
Oh, oh my gosh, that's kind
Yes.
of cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh, see, that's kind of cool where you're like, ah, I have an interview. You got,
Yeah,
it's like taking it on to the next step. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you for wanting to talk. I think it's nice that everyone's doing these podcasts now.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I've been trying to get you for a while.
Have
But
you?
yeah, but your publicist or ex-publicist, Miss Much, who's a great person, she keeps saying like you're on hiatus or something. So then I was like, I'm probably gonna die soon, so I gotta get Sarah Clarke. So I went through the management, you know what I mean?
Got
Which I
it.
never go through. So
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I mean, I do feel like being up here in Maine, it's kind of nice because the people that actually find me,
yeah.
it's like, all right, we did this. Because I mean, it's nice to be out of the big fray and to sort of, tap my toe in from time to time. So I'm very happy to talk to you.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention this. Like, you and I have, I don't know if this is something in common or if this is just a weird coincidence, and it's not going to make sense until I kind of explain the story a little.
Okay. Okay.
So, Sarah Clarke, my name's Keith Reza. I'm a stand-up comedian. I also write scripts and all that stuff, and I teach screenwriting. And
Uh-huh.
I was writing this great script, you know what I mean? And I got stuck in writer's block. And like I was talking to my students, and they were giving me like movie suggestions on what to watch to help with the script, right?
Okay.
So I took these suggestions, right? And one of these movies was called Emmett's Mark, right? And
No way. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So I watched the movie and I thought, holy shit, this is pretty close to what I'm writing, and it scared me. So I watched it and I
Wow.
thought it was great. And then I realized that that was your first
Yes.
thing into Hollywood.
It really was. I mean, I did do Ed.
Yeah.
I had done an episode of the TV show Ed, and I had done um no Sex in the City. I did
Oh,
a
nice.
little teeny part on Sex in the City, which my daughter just saw, and she was like, "What?" But what's crazy, I was looking over here because I just found a little hat from Emmett's Mark that
Oh
I
my
was like
God.
going, and I was like, what? In fact, let me just see if it's in here. I think it was in here or it's hanging up, but I thought someone's going to appreciate this. Oh my God, here it fucking is.
Oh my God. You got it.
Check it out. I mean, I delivered.
Holy Lord. See, this was all supposed to happen,
It
Sarah
was
Clarke.
all supposed to happen, Keith. I
Oh,
mean, I have such fond memories of this because it. I remember we went. I think it was in Pennsylvania where we shot it, and I remember going to. Oh nope, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Oh my God.
So it was. But anyway, I remember going to see a psychic when I was there because I was really feeling like for the first time in my life, I wasn't like, "Ah, I wish I was doing this. I wish it was, I was actually doing what I wanted to be doing. And I
Right.
felt really sort of realized in that moment of like who I wanted to be. And so I was like, I'm so curious to go see. Because I mean, I haven't done it a lot going to psychics, but I do think there's something like I always wonder, like, what are they looking at on me to kind of go, oh, she's looking for love. She's, whatever, what are the little tells that so
Right.
I was like, I have nothing that I'm like pining for, wishing for. I'm just in my life right now in such a big way that I'm just gonna go and see what she says. And first of all, I walked in with complete skepticism, like, okay, this is so clearly like just a big scam. She's like, looks at my palm. I'm like, okay, look at my palm, and
Right.
she had these cute little dogs around her. And she told me some things that to this day I think about. And I'm sort of blown away
Right.
because I wasn't going looking for like, what's my next move? Like, who am I going to meet? I had already met Xander. I was working on this film and I was living in New York, loving my life in New York. Like, it
Yeah.
just felt sort of like everything. I don't know. It made me kind of really look to what those um, skill sets are that allow someone to say, okay, I'm going to read this person and give them some some guidance because I didn't want
Right.
to know too much because she gave me her number and she said, if you want some more answers, I mean, we can talk further. And I held on to it for a while, but decidedly thought, no, I have to just do this in my own time.
Is the number in that closet of yours? Because I could
I
use
don't
it.
know where it is because I did want to find it later. And I'm like, oh man, if there's any chance this woman's watching, come and find me because I do want some answers now.
Uh, I've been to a psychic too, and like, I I respect everyone's opinion about it and stuff, but this is just my opinion. I'm not so sure if I believe in that stuff. I
Yeah,
believe that things could happen that rely on that, but I also believe the mind is very mushy and it kind of like people kind of want to go with their hearts, and I think people get
yeah,
confused which ones they're
yeah,
following, you know what I mean? So like the whole death thing or love thing, I think that these are things that everybody wants. And
yeah,
like I've lost my best friend, my grandfather. I would love to talk to them and see how they feel, but I think like that's again my mind playing tricks on me, or
mm,
maybe it's real and maybe it's in the heart, I don't know, but I feel it's the answers are too scary that I don't really want to explore that. Does that make sense?
definitely. And I completely agree with that. And I also feel, you know, intuition is definitely something that we've lost our sort of sixth sense, as they call it, to to the clues that I think are all around us that help us and guide us to sort of what's coming, what we're in the middle of. We are so dependent or guess centric here in our brain to process everything on a linear level. And I will say in the last 8 years, the work I've been doing um, has really sort of uh, I guess encouraged or reaffirmed for me this understanding and intellect that's sometimes just a knowing that you can't even articulate. Like I feel like I'm doing a bad job of it even now, but I call it intuition.
Yeah.
And, I think women and animals, but men too. But I feel like I was told a lot as a kid to to not be so reliant on that, and to, I wanted to be like my dad and just use my brain and think my way out of everything. But
Yeah.
I think sometimes you need to trust your intuition, because it's going to tell you faster than your head can
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
what's
for
going
sure.
on. you know?
It's so interesting too because and maybe that's the role of parents too because
Yeah.
as kids, we always like our first heroes are either our moms or our dads, and they always pick one, and then like they're kind of trained in a malicious way not to like the other one. You know what I mean? Like they could still love them, but like they're like, I'd rather
Well,
go to
they
dad.
definitely, I mean, Xander and I have talked about this. We definitely are yin yang in terms of the influences. But I've
Yeah.
also heard that women look to their men, their dads, for a lot of things, because even though you're close with your mom, you have to identify opposite from your mother to grow. And
Yeah.
I was given two daughters, which I think is fascinating, because I've
Yeah.
watched how one is like, okay, we're nothing alike, and then I've watched another one be like, we're just alike. But it probably will flip flop. But I don't take it personally,
Yeah.
and I know that there's only so much I can do, because really Xander's going to be the one that's going to like imprint on them in a certain way for certain things, and then I'll do,
Right.
the other half. But we definitely tag team, good cop get bad cop. you know some things I'm so okay with, other things he's so okay with, other times I'm like, what, how could you let them do that? It's like, it's really funny how it has flip-flopped over the years.
Yeah, and like that's just how like I think that's how I kind of knew that like in my heart I was born to always be a comic because I remember when I was a kid, I was like, which parent do I want to hang out with who will probably let me do drugs? You know what I
uh,
mean? Like, and you know,
did they
drug
do drugs? I mean, did they intimate
no,
they had?
no, drugs are terrible. I was just making a joke. But you know
No,
what
okay, but I mean,
I mean?
I just saying, like, because I grew up in a certain household, but some people, like, they grew up in different places. Like, I don't know.
But no, but yeah. So like the last time I went to a psychic, they told me you should watch Emmett's Mark. So
That
that was the whole point of the story. So I'm
was the
glad.
whole point. But
Yeah,
no, wait, what? So whatever happened to the script that you were writing that you said was just like Emma's Mark?
I'm still writing it because I feel like I feel it's still an original idea. Just kind of like certain elements are the same. So writing a script, I don't know if you've ever written a script, but there's a lot of rewriting and
Oh yeah,
even when you're filming and stuff, there's just because it's on the page doesn't mean it's gonna stick. You know what I mean?
right.
And so I'm writing a dark comedy about someone who hires a hitman to take his life, and then he falls in love with a girl, and he's like, "Oh, never mind, I don't want to do it." Which is not really the same of Emmett's Mark, but it's
Right.
kind of similar. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So that's the part I'm having is just trying to get as much originality out of it without the same.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's only so many storylines, right? And then we all
Yeah.
do iterations of them. I'm in the process right now of writing a script, and I'm
Oh,
doing so.
congratulations, Sarah
No,
Clarke.
yeah, it's a arduous process, and we've had many rewrites, and I have two other co-writers with me, which sometimes is so great because it really helps the process. It's like having a little writer's room.
Yeah.
But then there's other times when it's like you think you've gotten it to a point, and then they're like, actually, I like it like this. And so it's a constant negotiation.
Yeah.
But I'm actually in the middle of the pass right now. So this script that I'm writing is sort of a companion piece to the documentary I made over the last 8 years, which is now showing around the country and is going to air on PBS in the fall. But
Oh, what's it called?
it's called Bring Them Home. Here, actually, let me show you. I can show you a
Uh,
little poster.
Let's promote this.
Let's promote it. This
Yeah.
is so this is the actual screening for can you see that pretty well?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Animals.
Keezer Falls is the Smooth Feather Theater. That's out in sort of rural Maine. My friend refurbished this old theater, So we're hosting a community screening tonight, but it premiered at Big Sky in 2024
Yeah.
at its world premiere, and it's been showing around the country. It's in its second year of going to film festivals, and we're doing a ENI tour. Well, anyway, so I should tell you the premise of it. So I partnered with the Blackfeet Tribe in Montana, and Daniel Glick, myself, and Ivy and Ivan McDonald, who are Blackfeet brother and sister, created this documentary with the tribe to talk about their rematriation of the American bison in their ancestral home. And for the first time in 150 years, they got wild bison back up near in Glacier Park in their
Oh,
ancestral territory.
that's awesome.
And Lily Gladstone is the narrator, and she also is Blackfeet, and a lot of her family is in the documentary and volunteer with the Buffalo program. So Bring Them Home, Aiskota Kapiaya, is gonna show in limited theatrical release in the fall, and then show on PBS in November.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations, Sarah
Yeah,
Clarke.
well, I mean, I'm part of the team, but what's so exciting is, especially in this climate right now, to have an uplifting story of how a very dedicated community, against all odds, didn't take, all the obstacles as a means to say no. And they brought back this animal that is so, not only a keystone species to the ecosystem, but paramount for their culture and their livelihood. And it's something that, the genocide of the American buffalo coincided right along with the American Indian and the
Yeah.
native populations. The plains relied on their food source. So when they took the buffalo away, the populations then dwindled down to have to rely on sort of farming and ranching, and it changed their whole social structure, and they definitely did not thrive. So bringing them back is healing a lot of the communities with their power of sort of sorry, I'm losing it. I'm losing my train of thought, only because it's such a big topic, but I always try to streamline what the through line could be. But for me, this project, because we've been working on it for 8 years, is something that it always chokes
You're
me up.
passionate
because-
about it.
Well, I'm passionate about it. And I usually am better at streamlining maybe you can edit it.
No, you're doing fantastic, Sarah Clarke. This is so great. And it's also, in a weird coincidence, another reason why this interview was supposed to happen. If you could show the poster one more time.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so I'm going to show you a poster. And
Okay.
and once you look at it, it's not the same, but there's similarities to it. It's going to freak you out.
What? Make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it's
Wait, no, what? Those are ostriches?
ostriches and hyenas, and this is the Lion King Pride Rock thing. And
That's to
it's
say anything.
because John, I have a weird, dangerous obsession with John Cusack, Sarah Clarke.
Uh-oh.
Let's not talk about this. But
Okay.
he's the best. I'm the president of the John Cusack fan club 9 years in a row. And
Oh my gosh. Say anything. Well, and what was the other movie that he did that I love? The Sure Thing.
oh, I love it. Yeah. But this is about Sarah Clarke. But what I'm saying is, like, this is my stand-up album. So, like, when you showed me that, I was like, holy Lord, like, it has so much similarities to my cover art. So I think, like, we bonded over that. This is so cool. We got good taste.
We do. But
Yeah.
just so I can just to sum up what I was trying to say is that this project has been so life-changing for me because of how it has reawakened this sort of part of myself that I think in white culture is not talked about enough. and that
Yeah.
is our relationship with the natural world and our relationship with the planet as equals, as opposed to we come to dominate it and take the resources. Indigenous cultures understand that they are part of a bigger system and that they have to have relationships that have mutual respect. So that's what I wanted to get at.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so proud that, you worked very hard 8 years on a project and you're finally getting it out and stuff. So like that's just such a great accomplishment. So like congratulations to you. You know what I mean? Like
Thank
that's so
you.
cool.
Thank you. And the script that I'm writing is with Daniel and Ivy McDonald is a sort of sister piece about two Blackfeet sisters who help bring Bison back to their home. So it's a sort of narrative counterpart to the doc, based on
Oh,
people that we've met and worked with.
you know what's cool is when the script comes out, you could like put the documentary as a bonus feature on the
There you
DVD. You know
go.
what
We've
I mean?
thought about that for sure.
Like, oh, see? Oh, I like it. We're clicking, Sarah Clarke.
We're
This
clicking, and hopefully you'll get to see it on PBS or in a theater. Where are you based?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, you are. Well,
Yeah.
it's played there a couple times, but it may come back around on the ENI tour because we're going to get
Uh,
it on all the reservations. We basically donated the documentary to any tribe that wants to watch it and have a screening. And we're doing what's called ENI tour, which is ENI means buffalo, along the cities and the plains and New York and Chicago.
well, that's awesome. I promise you, I'm still on this earth when it comes out, I will do my best to watch this.
Very good. Very good. So
Uh,
how is Los Angeles? My God, it must be so surreal to be in Los Angeles right now.
well, I'm also I'm a stand-up comic, Sarah Clarke. So like everything that's going on, I this is terrible to say, but I make jokes about it. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So like I
please.
don't let the world affect me because I believe that everyone needs laughter right now. So like
Absolutely. No,
so
thank you
whatever's
for your
going
service.
yeah, so whatever's going on, I will never admit, "Ooh, I'm scared," or whatever. I will just make jokes about it.
Hey, I tune into Colbert every night to get
Yeah.
my news because I listen to the headlines on NPR in the morning and then I wait and then let Colbert tell me at night what's happened.
Oh
It's
my god.
so bad, but he's the only one that makes it palatable. I mean, I've been to some of the rallies and sort of felt like I could do my part in little ways there and tried to, but it's overwhelming, I'm sure. And I can't imagine being in LA and if I was in, I guess the environment that we were in before we left, I probably, the heart of Los Angeles, we would be seeing some of this activity. And
Yeah.
it would be so like, how do you look? I mean, what do you do? How
I'll
do
give you
you,
an example of what I do, and this
yeah.
might make you laugh or this might make you lose love for me. But if I go to a rally, I'll take a whole bunch of my headshots, right? And I'll just start signing them and just giving them to people because I'm trying to make a name for myself, Sarah Clarke. You know what I mean?
I understand. I
Uh,
understand.
so I wanted to ask you about 13 because when I think that movie, we're talking about movies that make a difference, documentaries that make a difference. I think 13 actually really made a difference because I have two twin sisters,
Mm,
and they were growing up with certain struggles in that movie, and I feel like that movie really did help them get on a good path and stuff because it's such a great story. I want to know
yeah, no,
when you make it, did you have that vibe in it too?
absolutely. So I knew Catherine through my husband Xander
Yeah.
Berkeley, and as a production designer, she and I, met and had dinner and different things. And she told me she was writing this script with her then boyfriend's daughter to sort of help her kind of work through some of the things she'd gone through with
Yeah.
this friend. And it was really just to have an exercise to sort of vent for her friend, for the daughter. And Catherine, being Catherine, was like, hey, because she's this insanely imaginative and creative person. She said, I could make this into a movie. And she was telling me about the part of Birdie and how she wanted me to come in and read for it. And I was like, she sounds great, sure. And so when I got it, I remember being so excited to sort of meet Holly and Evan. And I saw how, I mean, Nikki and Evan had their own little language on set, and the way that Catherine sort of set up this world for them to feel safe was pretty great. And I mean, all of us, I felt like understood that this was sort of a little bubble of creativity that we got to play in. And then I had no idea though just how visually arresting it would be. Uh,
Yeah.
the guy, I'm blanking on his name now, who her DP was. He was so chill and he was so masterful. But the way he shot that movie was so impressive to me. And I think he followed, I think for the first Twilight. I think he
Yeah.
was her DP on the first Twilight. Elliot was his name. I can't remember his last name though. But he was definitely a smart guy.
It's so interesting how you have that Twilight connection in it, because Nikki Reed was also in the Twilight, and then
Yes.
you were in the Twilight, which,
Yes.
how intense was that? Because that's a totally different fan base, where people you're like, holy Lord, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
and I had a kid by then. So when we made 13, I remember thinking like, oh, I have this 8-year-old kid. How weird, and I had never had kids. And then we do Twilight, and I had Olwen already, and she was about 1.5. And so
yeah,
for me, my whole focus shifts. I worked through both pregnancies and always took a kid with me when I worked. But something happened once I had a kid where you kind of go, all right, this is so creative. I mean, when I was pregnant, I just felt like I was being so creative because I was creating this little being. Um, and then the story of this child being in my life was so all, it was just so interesting that
yeah,
to try to want to go and play somebody else was hard. I mean, it just didn't pull me in the same way that it did before I had a kid. Let's say that. Um, so when Twilight came around, I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm playing mother to Kristen Stewart being my kid
right,
when, she was 17, and Catherine was like, I know you're really young, but I think you're supposed to have her when you're young. And I just think you guys look a lot alike. So I think you should play this part. I was like, okay. And I just remember thinking it was so surreal to go from my 1-year-old to then trying to mother Kristen. And I remember there was one time in the trailer where I like patted her in the way that I like patted my little toddler, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I just did that to you." And she was like, "No, it's fine," But I realized that for me, coming and going to the set and coming and going because I had my kid and I wasn't there for 6 months like a lot of them. It
right,
was a much more, I guess, less intense experience for me. But
right.
I definitely saw the window between the first and the third movie, how much it shifted. Like the third movie, because I don't was I in the second? Oh, I was in the second one. I can't remember which one where I only came in for like a day. I think it was the second one. By the third movie, when I was there a lot more, I just thought, wow, this is such a different vibe
Yeah.
with the way that the fans are and how protective everybody is and the security. And I just, yeah.
But it's one of those things for an actor where, like, regardless, how much screen time you're in on them or whatever, it's still a blessing because, like, whenever you do Comic Cons or I don't know if you've ever done Comic Cons, but whenever you do like cons or whatever, like a lot of the fans will just
Yeah.
talk about that your character. You know what I mean? And like you're like, oh, this is so great, and you could charge outrageous prices while just hearing how much these people change your life, and I think that's the
Well,
coolest thing in the world.
I know. I mean, I will say it's very gratifying to see that, Renee did have such an impact on people's lives. Because, I was doing the best I could as a mother at the time. And though I certainly thought the story was very strange as a mother to have her like not really participate in the way that I would have as a mother. But I was happy to see that people were like, no, you definitely were sort of the heartbeat of the movie because you grounded it. And I was like, well, that's nice.
Yeah. Sarah Clarke, I want to respect your time, but I have 5 more questions. Is it
Okay.
cool if we do this or?
Yeah. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Okay. So I know you get a lot of 24 questions, but I wanted to ask you, we were talking earlier about how scripts change and stuff. When you're filming a show like that and the
Mm.
scripts change, does that like when you already like know how your character is going to do a certain scene or whatever, does that like mess up your vibe as an actress like in the moment?
No, because I will say 24 being the first sort of big show that I did. I mean, like I said, I did Ed, but that was one episode.
Yeah.
24, we rewrote a lot of the dialogue
Okay.
ourselves
Oh,
because
really?
oh yeah, which was like we set a precedent that then they were like, once they won the writing Emmy, they were like, no more. We're like, hey, we wrote all that. But it was really about the dialogue, making it sound not so. I mean, they did a great job in coming up with plot and doing all that and the concept. But when it came to talking like humans, and I have to give props to Xander for having the confidence to be like, well, this is just not how people talk. Because he and I had scenes together. So we would sort of say, well, if I said it like this, and we basically just edit through, and we always showed it. But Stephen Hopkins, who was one of the creators, was the first one to say, well, how would you say this to make it seem more real? Because everything we were doing at the time was so outside people's imaginations. I mean,
Yeah.
now it's sort of like, oh, the CIA and all these things are something that's in the conversation. They were making stuff up, because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And they wanted it to feel grounded in the sort of insanity of the complexity of the story. So they really wanted and encouraged us to sort of make it sound real. So I just assumed that's how all TV was. And I
Oh,
was
really?
sorely mistaken when I went on to my next gig and they were like, oh, no, 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 no. This is how you're going to say it. Or we have to go back to the writer's room. And then there has to be like new pages. But to me, I feel like I'm excited for that process when, especially if you're given a moment to read through the scene and sort of work through the beats, that you want it to breathe. I mean, like you said, there's the written script, then there's the script you shoot, and then
Yeah.
there's the script that's edited. I mean, I saw so many times in looping when we would have to go in for certain things, how much a scene changed based on how they edited it. I was like,
Yeah.
I was not, thought of as the mole at this point. So you're making it seem like just because I looked over there that I know something. But all I did was look over because they said Nina, and I looked. But you've now cut it to make it seem like I'm like, you know.
The bad guy, yeah. And but see, that's the thing about TV, and that's like what the question I was kind of trying to say is because like when you have all these scripts and stuff, like the script and then the shooting script, like do you just kind of like go in a blank and be like, all right, this is what this character would do in this moment, and you probably
Well,
didn't even know you were the bad guy until like the very last couple episodes.
yeah, exactly. No, I did not. I mean, everyone had thoughts that they might be the bad guy, the
Yeah,
mole. But no, I mean, you do. The only thing is, though, like, and I learned this on Bosch especially, but a lot of other shows where you need to know your lines. Like, you have to come in knowing your lines. Certain, scenes in 24 too. If I was struggling to find the line and we're doing a lot of, action that dictates the lines, you can really hold things up.
yeah,
And Bosch was especially that way. They had fast walk and talks, lots of pitter patter, especially Titus and I. So we always really wanted to know our dialogue. And that was one show where they did not like it if you changed anything.
yeah,
They,
yeah. Awesome.
but it was pretty well written, so you kind of didn't need to. You know, the way my litmus test is if I can memorize it quickly, it's usually well written.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
I
That
mean, I remember when I did covert affairs, I had so much technical jargon. And that was another one where I was like, I just have to know it. If I don't know this, I am screwed. And I had new baby, and I was
uh,
going into set with like very little sleep and just have to be like drilling the lines to make it look like I knew what I was talking about. You know?
I always thought like it'd be cool to be like a special agent on a TV show or whatever with the earpiece because I'm the worst actor you'll ever meet, Sarah. Like I'm a stand-up comic. Even though like I'm
You have to
famous.
have your whole thing memorized. I'm
Uh,
always in awe of stand-up comics because they're up there with
oh,
nothing.
yeah, but I'm just like naturally funny, I guess. But like if I was an actor like on a show like that, I'd require an earpiece so people could tell me the lines. And when people ask me these things, I was like, I'm a special agent. I have an earpiece.
There are actors that, of course, use earpieces. I mean, Brando is being one of them that, you know, famously used an earpiece. And I feel like in some ways, you know, if you can get your instrument so relaxed, having the lines come in and then say them, I mean, that's another way to go. But it does feel like there is that delay and
Right.
you're not really responding if you're waiting for that. That's more like a newscaster. And I do think that the difference between working with someone who's already figured out what they're going to do in the scene as opposed to someone that's reacting
Yeah.
to like what you give, it's night and day when you're
For
an actor. Like what's more appealing, in my opinion.
for
I
sure.
always feel like I always want to sort of throw them off when I see like, oh, you're just going to do this the same way every time. Okay.
So, second question. I love dark comedy, as I think I've explained, and one of my favorite dark comedies is Women in Trouble. And
Ah,
I wanted to ask you because I feel like dark comedy, especially in that time, like it wasn't like really popular. Where now it's very popular. You know what
oh
I mean?
yeah, no, completely. And I feel like even 24 and Nina and all the, you know, the characters that had flaws that were somehow just like the bad guy, as opposed to like humanity and how it's made of good choices, bad choices. Um, but no, Women in Trouble was so fun to make. Sebastian Gutierrez is very fun, very smart director, writer, and I was friends, of course, with Carla and everyone in that movie. You know, it was really just a blast to do, and he created so many great speeches for everybody. We did it during the writer's strike, so he'd already written this, and so we did
Oh
it
my
at their
God!
house, basically.
Wow, that was the 2004 strike, right?
I think
Uh,
so. Is that
oh
when
my
we
God!
made it? Yeah, because wait a minute, no, I already had my child, so when it must have been 2007
2007? Wow!
or eight. It was 2008. I know
Wow!
because I had Olwen. And it was when I remember because I went from the audition of Twilight to the first night of filming
Oh
Women.
my God!
So it would have
That's the
been
thing about strikes is there's so many of them you don't remember which one. Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, yeah, yeah.
Ah,
It was a definite fun week or two that we did that. And then, you know, all with your friends. So fun.
it, yeah, that's the best is when you work with, the people you already know, you know what I mean? Because the chemistry's already there.
Hmm.
I do apologize. I haven't seen this one, but I thought it was very interesting because I wanted to ask how you did that as an actress. But in Bedrooms, it said that it was directed by three people, and I
Yeah.
wanted to know like how is that, when each person's giving you a direction, like how do you?
So I think the way they, if I remember correctly, it had three different directors and they just wove the stories together. So I
Oh,
only
okay.
had one director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you know, Xander's in one, I'm in one. Yeah, that was a blur too. That was one of those I did. I was working on the show Trust Me at the time during the day.
Yeah.
And I was shooting bedrooms on the weekend. And I remember I had to take off my wedding ring for bedrooms because I was supposed to be divorced. And I put it in a safe place. Like I thought I put it in my pocket. I don't know. And then when I showed up on set on Trust Me on Monday, I wore the ring as my actual wedding ring. And they're like, "Where's your ring?" And I was like, "Oh shit." And I
Oh
lost
my God.
my wedding ring. I lost my wedding band on that job. So I
So
always remember bedrooms for that. No.
so bedrooms we don't talk about.
It's okay. No, no, it was fine. But I know it was me. It was also because we were going through a remodel. It's a crazy time.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, because I thought that would be kind of like hard because you'd be like, which one do I listen to? All three of you
No,
guys are
exactly.
yelling.
Well, and I will say, this doc, this narrative we're writing is going to have two directors, and it'll be very interesting to see how they navigate
Yeah.
directing. It's like usually, I mean, I guess with Ethan and Joel, they talk to each other and then they go. I've heard. I
Yeah.
haven't worked with them, but yeah,
We're gonna change that, Sarah. I
I
know these
know.
guys.
I
I know
know.
an Ethan and a Joel. I'm gonna say, hey, you guys want to be movie directors?
There we go. Yeah, Sarah's ready.
Sarah, put her in the game. Uh, and then I wanted to ask you, were like how, even though COVID was 5 years ago, now, there's a different type of filming stuff with precautions and all that stuff where like when you rehearse, you'd go and and all that stuff. Like, how do you think the business has changed since then? Do you think it's going to go back to how it was, or do you think like you'll rehearse over Zoom and stuff kind of like this, and then when it films, you go there?
I mean, I don't know. I've made a few films through the pandemic, through the post-pandemic. I think, the days of, I mean, you think about those big concerts. I've been
Yeah.
to a big concert since then, and something I thought would never happen again. I'm like, can you imagine going to one of those like huge concerts with all those breaths, like, mixing? I think, the value of having that face-to-face time will never go away. I do
Yeah.
think that our ability, like we have been meeting over Zoom for 8 years to do these projects. And our facility with sort of connecting through this now, I think makes a lot of things possible that couldn't have been possible, whether it's an audition, a rehearsal, but the kinetic response that you have to being in the room is always going to have its power. And whether, I mean, even before the pandemic, there was definitely examples of people showing up to set and being like, all right, we're throwing you right in.
Right.
And you have to just react and be there as if you know these people your whole life. I mean, that's part of, I guess, the job. But I don't think, I think the only thing that really the pandemic is gonna sort of shift in the business, in my opinion, is people's ability to pivot if something happens. Because
Yeah.
we have backups. We have the Zoom. We have, ways to cheat if someone's in the room. We have, I don't know. That's my short answer to that.
Well, I have two more questions. This one's kind of a funny question. It's not really a serious
Okay.
answer. And
Even this.
I used to take Twitter questions. I don't really do it anymore, but I thought this one was really funny. So I
Okay.
wanted to ask you. Uh, Sarah, you did a couple projects with Tate Donovan. How's that love potion number 9 working nowadays?
I love Tate Donovan.
Yeah,
I
he's great.
mean, I have to say he is just such a delight. And I haven't seen him in years, but the two projects we worked on, I had so much fun. And so if I could work with him again, I would. It's working just fine.
All right, cool. And then my last question for you, Sarah, is if you could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now, and you only have 30 seconds to talk to yourself, what would you tell yourself, like advice or whatever?
Oh my God. I would tell my younger self, don't worry so much and travel as much as you can, because I always have, and I still do, this really, strong sense of responsibility when I have someone that I'm in care of, whether it's children or pets. And when I had nobody, I still somehow had this sense of like, well, I have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being prepared, but sometimes you got to trust that you're going to know what to do in the moment, and you can go and have an adventure knowing that if something happens, you can pivot and be there and be ready. So
Oh
that's
my
what I
God.
would tell my younger self.
That's great. I thought you were going to say one or two things. One, Sarah, don't throw away that psychic's number.
Well, she probably would have just told me this.
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
said.
yeah. Or two, like I'll be Sarah Clarke. Like I'll do a little improv. Sarah, how are you? Sarah Clarke, 2025. Hey, if Keith Reza asks you to do his podcast, say no.
But see, that's why you're the comedian.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you didn't say that one. But Sarah, where can the folks at home follow and support you? And you said this documentary is coming out in the fall, so like,
Yes. So, well, I am on Instagram, though. I have a hot cold relationship with Instagram. Sometimes I post, sometimes I don't. But that's Sarah being Sarah Clarke. And then the Thunderheart Films website, there is thunderheartfilms.com on Instagram. And then we have a website, thunderheartfilms.com, that has all the upcoming showings and screenings of the film and the other projects that we've been sort of collaborating on. So that's two places they can do it. And then, PBS in the fall is
oh,
where our movie Bring Them Home will be screening.
I can't wait to see it, Sarah Clarke.
And coming to a theater, hopefully, I think it's September and October. We're hitting big cities like Chicago, New York, the plains like Santa Fe, North Dakota, Minnesota, that kind of.
Yeah, you gotta go to Austin. Austin's a big city now for like
Yes,
yeah.
Austin is, and I mean, I would go to Austin in a heartbeat for any reason. I love Austin.
Yeah. I love Whataburgers. That's in Austin.
But no, I had a Whataburger in Arizona.
Oh, did you really?
Insane, because we went to the Sedona Film Festival, which was outstanding.
Oh my God.
When we flew into Phoenix, Ivy McDonald she was oh, let's go to Whataburger. I'm like, what is this? Delicious. I had the one with the little chilies.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I kind of want to drive to Phoenix now. That's so much closer than Austin.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
go have a Whataburger.
Well, Sarah Clarke, thank you so much for being my best friend for 45 minutes.
You're so welcome, Keith. I don't know why I wanted to call you Reza, but I did.
Oh, I think you can call me whatever you want, Sarah. And I would love to have you again in the future if you're down. I think
Yes.
yeah.
When something else is happening.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Bye, Sarah
Thank you
Clarke.
for the love.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Have a good one.
But all right, guys, that was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review, follow Sarah, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Riffs.
Woohoo!
Yeah.